Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. I also share my ideas on Pinterest and Twitter and Instagram and a lot of other places. Most recently, I've started a podcast, and you can find that in the Apple Podcast Store or the iTunes Store, whatever they call it now, or on SoundCloud or Stitcher or TuneIn. And you could search that by looking for Make Moments Matter, a music education podcast, or search my name or something. But I'm here today to talk to you not about those other things, but to tell you a little bit about how I teach the 4 voices to my primary kiddos, so kindergarten and first grade. This is something that most teachers do in kindergarten or first grade, depending upon your curriculum. But the 4 voices are the speaking voice, whisper voice, singing voice, and shouting voice. Some people add in a 5th voice or 6th voice for different things. I generally tend to stick to those 4 voices. A lot of times if you have a music curriculum like Share the Music or Making Music, they have those big books which are really big pictures, and they'll have information or pictures that show a kid doing this for like shouting or singing, like, you know, like a picture of it. And that's nice to reinforce, but I love teaching the 4 voices with my puppets. And a lot of times people come in the room, they're like, why do you have all of these puppets? And I'm like, well, I use them for a lot of things, especially with primary kids. And this is one of the things I love using them for. It's great for the beginning of the year because kids get drawn in by puppets and they think it is so much fun. And I make a complete fool of myself, but I never do it in front of adults until today. But it's really fun to do with kids. So I just want to show you sort of how I did it and how I continue to do it. I'm doing it right now with kids. I have 4 different voices and 4 different puppets, and here's how it goes. And please do not, I mean, you can laugh at me, but I do this for kindergarten. So I'm a goofball. I'm sorry if I look like a total nerd. Please don't stop reading my blog. But I have a puppet for each voice, and I'll get to all of them, but I have Peter the rabbit for speaking voice, Flitter the butterfly for whisper voice, Snowy the owl for singing voice, and then Grizzly the bear for shouting voice. I won't get to all of them, but I'm just going to show you and basically sort of run through how I teach each of these so you can sort of see me do it and laugh at how nerdy I am. But let me start with this speaking voice, which is always what I start with. Usually I'll start a lesson with a song or something else, and this will be sort of towards the end of my lesson. I'll say, I have a friend I really want you to meet. We have to be very respectful when we go over and talk to him, though, because he sometimes gets scared around kids. Has nothing to do with the voices, but has everything to do with classroom management. So it's sort of like getting them set up that, okay, now's the time for you to calm down. We might have been playing a fun game, but now I need you to sort of focus. So I come over and I say, oh, here's my friend now. As long as you're crisscross applesauce and you're really watching and listening, I'm sure he'll want to talk to you. And then sometimes I'll have Peter turn and looking at me and say like, oh, but Mr. Rao, the kids, I'm nervous about them. And I'll say, I know, Peter, you're very nervous about the kids. I get it. Kids can make you nervous. That's fine. But these are very good kids. They're going to be great listeners. And then he'll sometimes like turn around and look and just check. And then I'll introduce him. You know, this is Peter. Peter's my friend the rabbit, and Peter's here to talk to you today a little bit about rabbits, and then to tell you about something else that's important to music. And so Peter might start with something like, hello, my name is Peter. I'm a rabbit. I live right outside, right up over by the garden. I don't live in the garden. Don't worry. I don't eat out of the garden. I have my own food. And he'll go through and talk about some things about rabbits. So the things that I tell about rabbits, I say, well, rabbits live outside. They're usually wild. Some people have them as pets. And of course, he's looking down at the kids as he's talking to them. He talks about how he has these big floppy ears. That comes back later. He talks about how they've got long legs. They love to hop on and do things like that. And at that point, probably a kid says something like, we know about a rabbit or a bunny who hops because we just did Little Bunny Foo-Foo. And Peter responds with, oh, he is not a very good bunny. He is very mean. In fact, he's my cousin, and you know what happened to him. And they just love that connection. They love it like, oh, wait, you know Little Bunny Foo-Foo? And yes, he does. So anyway, so then we talk about the things about rabbits, and we talk about if a kid were to come up to Peter, even though he knows them now and he's met them, he might run away because the rabbits just get nervous around kids, and that's a normal thing. And then we get to the important stuff. I say, Peter, thank you for telling us so much about rabbits, but weren't you here to tell us something about music? And he goes, oh yes, I'm so excited I get to tell you about the 4 voices today. And then he starts talking about the different voices. He says, I love the first voice, speaking voice, and we use our speaking voice in lots of different places. We use our speaking voice in the car, we use it in the office, we use it with our teacher, we use it at Burger King when we're ordering chicken nuggets, and talk about all the places you can use speaking voice. And it's the best because you get to use it everywhere. But Peter, you think it's the best. That's your opinion, but other people like other voices. That's okay. No, it's the best. Peter. Okay, well, I'll come back to that. Anyway, so then there are these other voices. There's the whisper voice, which is important when you have something that's very quiet. You need to tell somebody. You get really close and you get up to them and say, I'm using my whisper voice. And sometimes I'll have the kids repeat, say like, can you say whisper voice? And they say whisper voice. Okay, very good. Let's go on to another voice. But he'll, of course, tell them like where they can use whisper voice. You know, if you're somewhere where you need to be quiet or you have something very important you need to tell someone, but you don't want everyone to hear. Those are great times to use your whisper voice. And then we'll go on. Oh, and then there's your other voice. There's your singing voice. I love using my singing voice. I do mostly like a so me. I love using my singing voice in the music room because there's so many things you get to sing. Also, I sing in the car. Also, I sing in the shower. Also, I sing with my friends. And I talk up the singing voice because at this point, I've also, in the past, I've taught a lot of English language learners, and I want them to just like singing voice and not be scared about it. I mean, not all kindergartners, but especially the English language learners, the more you can make it fun and sort of preempt them before they have to do it, that it's a good thing and they should do it. That's good. And then Peter goes on to, and then there's one voice you use, and you only use this outside or in the gym or in an emergency. And it's the kind of voice that, Mr. Rao, can I use the voice inside? You can use the voice inside because you're telling the kids. This one's called your shouting voice! And they love that and they giggle. And he's like, but remember, you only use that when you're in an emergency or if you're in the gym or if you're outside. Otherwise, if you said you use your shouting voice, say like, I want macaroni! People would probably look at you funny, so we don't use our shouting voice in other places. And so he's introduced them all 4. Then he rounds back and says, but none of them as good as your speaking voice. But Peter, that's your opinion. No. It's a known fact, Mr. Rao. What do you mean it's a known fact? Everyone knows speaking voice is your best. Speaking voice is the voice you use most of the time, every day, all the time, and it's so good. In fact, Mr. Rao, do you know the famous poem about speaking voice? I didn't know there was a poem. Yes, there is, and I will tell it to the kids. The poem goes like this. Speaking voice is the best. It's better than all the rest. Okay, kids, now you learn it. And he teaches them the poem. I sometimes will interject and be like, Peter, I don't know that you should be teaching them this because it's your opinion speaking voice is the best, but other people are wrong. Okay, speaking voice is the best. And so he teaches them that. And at the end of the day, if we're close to the time I want to spend, I might just say, okay, so tomorrow, or the next time I see you, there's going to be another friend coming and they're going to tell you that another voice is better than speaking voice. And you know what you're going to say to them? You're wrong. Peter taught me speaking voice is the best. It's better than all the rest. And they love that. Sometimes I'll add in this bit where I have Peter round on me and say, Mr. Rao, I have something I want you to say. What do you want me to say? Just say, speaking voice is my favorite. But Peter, what if speaking voice is not my favorite? What do you mean not your favorite? Just say it, Mr. Rao. Speaking voice is my favorite. And then for fun, I'll say, speaking voice is my favorite. No, Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, that was your whisper voice. Wrong voice. Use your speaking voice. Say, speaking voice is my favorite. Go try again. Speaking voice is my favorite. No, Mr. Rao, no. That's your singing voice. And the kids like freak out, love this part. Okay, so you want me to say in my speaking voice, say it in your speaking voice, Mr. Rao. Speaking voice is my favorite. Go ahead. Speaking voice, turn it up, Mr. Rao! And they like freak out about that. They love that. So we do that, and then eventually I say speaking voice is my favorite, and he's like, why did you go on? And the kids love, anytime that Peter freaks out, they love that. So, then Peter does his thing, and then Peter goes away. Or if I have like 3 minutes to kill before their teacher shows up, I'll have them sit in their line, ready to go. And then if they're all sitting very quietly and being very polite, Peter will hop up to them and they can say their name in their speaking voice, and Peter will say it back to them in his speaking voice. Okay, that's day one. So then Peter goes away. The next time they show up, they get to meet another friend. And this friend, I say, oh, I have another friend that you get to meet. I'm so excited. Remember last time we met Peter and he told you about your shouting voice. And they're like, no, he told me I was speaking voice. And so then we go over to meet our new friend. I say, you must be very quiet around this friend. You need to really, really listen to this friend because this friend gets very nervous about people. And I come over and I say, Flitter, come here, Flitter. And Flitter like walks away. I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot. I need to be very quiet with Flitter because she even gets nervous around me. Flitter, come talk to the kids. And Flitter comes out, and I have this like terrible butterfly puppet. But I don't know where. I think it was like from when I was a kid. I need to get a better one, but this is all I have currently, so that's gonna have to do. So Flitter comes out, and we only use our whisper voices with Flitter, and we say, Flitter, can you tell us about yourself? And she says, well, I'm a butterfly. And also, I've realized over the years, I have one puppet voice, and it is basically the same thing. So I've tried to vary it, but I'm not very good. But the nice thing is, Flitter uses her whisper voice, so whatever. Flitter says, I'm a butterfly, and talks about butterflies, and says, you know, butterflies fly around, and they love to be in the garden, and stuff like that. And then I say, oh, and butterflies have these antennae, and you have to be very careful around butterflies, because if you're too loud, it hurts their antenna, and it scares them off. And we talk about that, and then she says, that's why I always use my whisper voice. Whisper voice is so important. We use our whisper voice. We want to be very quiet. So I use whisper voice around my other butterfly friends, and all my other friends are very, very quiet. Also, and then this is where I get into what we do at our school, and I'll quickly take a minor moment to sidebar. At my school, we use champs. We talk about the voice levels, and I've sort of shown this before, and I wonder if I can show it to you. Yes. So at my school, we use these voice level posters, and so anytime you want to refer to how loud a kid needs to be, you can use these posters. This is in my champ set, and it's part of the champs thing, but level 0 is silence, level 1 is a whisper voice, level 2 is a natural speaking voice, or you can call it conversation. Level 3 is a presentation voice, and level 4 is outside voice. And that face, that's how I feel about kids using outside voice in my class. Don't do it. But what's important for Flitter is that level 1 is whisper voice. And at my school, I'll just take another quick second to say level 0 is sort of problematic because that's no voice at all. But it's difficult when you're teaching the 4 voices and they say, oh, this is a voice. Well, actually, no, it's not a voice. And Peter will interject and mention that. But whisper voice is level 1. And we've been spending, the past couple weeks talking about level 1 voice and where it's appropriate to use. So Flitter comes out and says this. So the other day, I was flying over an Atlanta Braves game, and I heard everyone chanting, we're number 1, we're number 1, because they thought their team was the very best one. And then I went to a Woodstock football game. Woodstock is our high school. And I flew over the football game, and they were all saying, we're number 1. We're number 1. And they thought because they were the best one. Guess what? Whisper voice is level 1 because it's the best. Flitter, I don't think that's why it's called level 1. It's not called level 1 because it's the best. Yes, it is, Mr. Rao. It's called level 1 because it's the best. And then she leads them in a chant. Whispers number 1. Whispers number 1. Now, if you use the voice levels at your school, you just go right ahead and steal that. But if you don't use the voice levels, you're probably going to leave that out. Then I go on to Flitter saying this. I have written this beautiful poem. I wrote it just this morning as I was laying on a daffodil, and I thought about this beautiful poem, and here's how it goes. Whisper voice is the best. It's better than all the rest. Flitter, I'm pretty sure that I've heard that poem somewhere else before. I don't know that you came up with it. No, Mr. Rao, shh. Actually, I came up with it today. It's brand new. And the kids sometimes are like, wait. No, we've heard that before. Generally, they're like, oh, okay, maybe it's Flitter's. And so then Flitter teaches them whisper voice is the best. It's better than all the rest. And usually I save myself a little time. So if I didn't do names last time, because I'm still learning names, I have 1,200 students. I have them sort of scatter out like flowers, I tell them. And then I have Flitter fly over after we've done our whole spiel and they've said whisper voice is the best and they've repeated that poem a couple times. She flies over and they whisper their name to her and she'll whisper it back. This is hilarious because a lot of times they'll look at me and I'll be like, don't look at me, look at Flitter. She's the one listening. And so then they'll look at Flitter like, David. And she'll point and be like, David. It's hilarious. And they love it. And I don't know, it just works. So then Flitter flies away. Today I taught Flitter today, and I had Peter come back out and be like, wait. What did I tell you last time? I told you the speaking voice was the best. And so then he's like, don't get confused because next time somebody else is coming out. So next class period, they come in, and I do these in about the same spot. I have a chair over by my piano that I bring out my puppet friends. This friend I put up high on the top of a cabinet or somewhere else. And I say I have another friend, but she's not over by our chair. And they go over and they sit by the chair. And I go and I grab Snowy. And I love this puppet. This is a Folkmanis puppet. That's the brand, Folkmanis or NNIS. I don't know. You can find it on Amazon. But the cool thing about this owl is that she can listen and she can turn her head, which is maybe a little creepy, but owls do that. And the other thing is she has Velcro right here to keep her wings together. So when I'm talking to her, we can do that. But then when I want her to fly, she can fly and she can do her thing, which is wonderful. So I start her on the top of a cabinet, and I'll go over and I'll talk to her and say, are you ready to go see the kids? I'm so excited. And then she'll fly and she'll do a vocal glide as she comes down from the cabinet, because I'm sort of preparing them to do more of that. So she'll go, woo, woo, you know, and I'll probably do that for about a minute, where she'll fly around. The kids are like, oh my gosh, it's an owl. And then she finally stops and starts to talk to the kids. But I bring in the glide because eventually Snowy will do that with them, which is sort of fun. But we start with the glide and her being not at the chair. So then she shows up at the chair and she starts to introduce herself to the kids. Hello, my name is Snowy. I'm an owl, and I'm a snowy owl. In fact, that's the kind of owl that I am. And I'm here to tell you about an important thing, the most important voice. I don't know. I eat this up. I just play around, and I don't know. I sort of ad-lib for a while with the kids. But eventually she starts telling them about singing voice and how important singing voice is. And so then she says, oh, when we use our singing voice in the music room, and we use our singing voice in the car and in the shower. And I sort of just do sort of glidey sounds. I don't really use my singing voice at this point, but it's more singing than speaking. And then I'll speak back to her, say, oh, Snowy, you have a beautiful singing voice. Could you maybe sing a little something for us? And she'll say, yes. In fact, I just wrote a brand new song, and it goes like this. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. I'll use my singing voice, and it goes like this. Singing voice is the best. It's better than all the rest. And I don't know. The kids love this, so she usually has to sing it a couple times. I always do the so me pattern because we're doing it so often, and that's really the interval I'm trying to reinforce over and over. So she sings that a couple times, and I might have kids be like, wait a minute, because the third time we do this, they're like, wait, we've heard that before. And so I say like, yeah, that does sort of sound like a poem that Peter taught us. No, because I composed this song today. It's brand new, and I'm going to sing it, and it goes like this. Singing voice is the best. And she even mimics the actions that Peter does when he teaches the poem. So that's another tip off to the kids that she did not write this. So then they sing it, which is great. And then I say, Snowy, what's that one thing that owls always love to say? Who? Owls. What's that thing that owls all love to say? Who? The owls. What do the owls love to say? Who? And that goes on for a while. And the kids start laughing. It takes the kids about 3 times longer than an adult would to get it. But they start to do the who, and we talk about why owls sound like that when they sound like whoo, whoo. It's just the hooting sound they make. And then Snowy goes to the next part, which is again a name game, which is perfect for the beginning of the year. And she sings this song. She goes, who are you? And the kids are going to get to sing their name back. So I show them that, and Snowy and I do it together. Okay, Mr. Rao, so let's sing. I'll sing, and then you get to sing your name back. Who are you? Mr. Rao. Ooh, that was very good. Try again, Mr. Rao. And I always do this 2 or 3 times because I'm going to ask a kid to sing a solo, you know, when they're singing to Snowy. And they're singing to Snowy, which is a way less intimidating, right? Which is one of the great things about puppets. It takes away some of the intimidation factor. But it's still asking them to sing a solo. So I give them the example 3 or 4 times. Who are you? And I say, look right at Snowy. You get to sing your name. Mr. Rao. And I don't expect them to say like, I am Mr. Rao. Not kindergarten. So I just let them do that. And then Snowy flies around and she perches on their finger or just stops right in front of them or perches on my hand. And she sings, "Who are you?" And they sing it back. They love it. Or not. But whatever they do, I'm just like, ooh, good. Because again, at this stage, if they're kids who are not singing perfectly, I'm not going to be like, try again. You know, I'm just going to be like, great. Okay, moving on. And then she flies around and we may end the class with vocal glides. And then after that, before they leave, Peter comes back out and is like, hold on. I told you twice, you know, what you're supposed to say. And so then he's like, there's going to be one more person. Honestly, make sure that you say speaking voice is the best because it's better than all the rest. So then the last day, who comes out but Grizzly? And I say, this friend, he gets very excited. So don't be scared. He's a very nice bear, but he is a bear. So just know that he's coming. And Grizzly comes out, he's like, hello! Which is not my normal puppet voice, sort of nice, different. Hello, kids, I'm so excited to be here. And several times during Grizzly's speech, I'll be like, Grizzly, calm down. The kids are very nice kids. You want to just, you know, chill out. We don't want to scare anyone. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm very excited. Grizzly, we get it. You're very excited to be here. What are you here to tell us about? Well, I'm here to tell you about bears. What are you going to tell us about bears? I always limit this knowledge because kids get freaked out by bears. Bears are nice creatures. We just sometimes get frightened if people show up in our habitat or get near our cubs. Cub is a word for, like, children. So, we're very nice creatures. We stay away from people. People stay away from us. Oh, great. And so, I don't know, sometimes I talk about that, not always. But then Grizzly gets to tell us about his favorite voice. Grizzly, we've already learned about speaking voice and whisper voice and singing voice, which is so much fun. And we hear that you're here to tell us about another voice. Yes, I'm here to tell you about the best voice of all. Okay, but Grizzly, you need to remember, I've talked with the kids about this, but if we use our shouting voice inside, the principal might think there's an emergency and run in here because we don't use our shouting voice inside. So if you could just tell us about this voice without using it, that'd be great. Okay, I'll try. This voice is the voice that you use outside. So if you want to talk to your friend, you say, hey! No, Grizzly, you can't use that voice inside, so please try not to use that voice. Okay, sorry. So then we could use it in the gym. And if you're in the gym, you might say, pass the ball to me! No, Grizzly, you're not supposed to use that voice inside. Remember, we're trying to be very calm in here. We don't want the principal to run. Okay, sorry. So it's a voice you can use outside, or in the gym, or in emergencies. Right. And can you just tell us the name of this voice? You want me to say the name? Yeah, but say it in your speaking voice, because remember, we can't use that other voice in here. Okay, so this is the best voice, and it's called your Grizzly. No. We can't use that voice inside. So can you use your speaking voice to tell us what the name of this voice is? Right. Yes. Okay. It's a voice you use outside. It's a voice you use in the gym or an emergency. It's your... No, Grizzly. We can't use that voice inside. So, and sometimes at this point, Grizzly will be like, Mr. Round, turn around. And he'll talk to the kids and he'll say, okay, we're going to tell Mr. Round we're not going to use it, but then we're going to use it. It's called shouting voice, and you're going to say it with me. Okay, Mr. Round. And so then Grizzly gets them in on the joke, and they all get to go, it's with me, shouting voice! And they love that, and they freak out, and they shout a little bit. And actually, I've had an administrator walk in and be like, it's okay, we're talking to Grizzly and learning about our shouting voice. But they love that. They think it's hilarious. They laugh the whole time when I keep stopping him. When he's like, and I stop him, they giggle like crazy. So Grizzly gets to teach him about their last voice. And the cool thing about this Folk Manus puppet is he gets to do that when he gets frustrated and I stop him. He can do that like Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy thing where his nose in indignation does that, which I really love. But those are the 4 puppets and the 4 voices. And I can do a little bit more with each of them. If you buy this puppet, it's a Folk Manus puppet. If you buy it, you can use it for a grizzly bear is sleeping in a cave, or the bear went over the mountain, or going on a bear hunt. There are like a million things you can use it for. The owl, I use her all the time. She has singing voice. She also catches kids doing the right thing because you never know where she's going to look because owls turn their head that way. So sometimes if I have to take a kid or a class back to their homeroom or whatever, Snowy will fly along in the hallway and she'll be watching. Maybe she'll award stickers to certain kids. Flitter, I don't really use that much. It's probably because it's not a nicer puppet and I just don't like it as much. But I use her again if I'm reinforcing the concept or sometimes for BB Bumblebee, the poem, or other garden stuff, she'll come out. And then Peter I use all the time. So Peter I use to teach speaking voice. He can sometimes come out when we're talking about Little Bunny Foo Foo. Sometimes one year I taught Mr. Rabbit, your ears are mighty long. Yes, my friend, they're put on wrong. It's a fun little song. You could do that. What's the other one that I use Peter for? There are a bunch of bunny songs you could, I saw a little bunny go hop, hop, hop. I saw his little ears go flop, flop, flop. There's that poem. There's just a lot you can use them for, and they're super duper fun. So you could vary them. I mean, if you don't have a butterfly and you want to use some other insect, you could totally do that. The last thing I would say, these puppets are really nice and they sort of stand up on their own, but if you take an old CD spool, so like when you have like blank rewritable CDs or DVDs that you might use for whatever reason through the year, if you save the spool, puppets sit really well right on them. The only one that doesn't is Grizzly because he's a little bit longer, but then they sit right on the shelf. They never fall over. I know some people have those cool like puppet trees, but I certainly don't. So this has been a super great lifesaver. And I've asked teachers around the building, if you have those, save them, I'll take them, which is super great. A couple things that you might want to know for resources. Remember, the puppets are called Folkmanis, Folkmanis, or Mannis, I don't remember. And the other thing is that I have written a blog post about this whole thing, this whole process. So let me see if I can pull it up and show you. So there are our voices. So here, if you go to my main page of my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, this is the main page. I recently redid it, so if things look like they're not in the same place, they probably aren't. But you can navigate in a lot of different ways. You can touch the blog there, you can go to classroom ideas. I have some recent blog posts here, or you can just go up to the top to the blog button. I also have a bunch of links that you might like, my store, my podcast. I already pulled this one up. It's called Puppet Pals, Learning the 4 Voices. And I show you the different puppets that I use. In here I have links to the Folkmanis puppets online, so if you just want to buy the same ones I have, I put links in there. And then I go through and give you a little debrief about each of the puppets, and I've even written out the poem and the whisper poem and the song and everything I use them for. So if you ever want to go back and can't find this video, it's here on my blog as well. And down here at the bottom is a place where you can subscribe to the mailing list if you want to get ideas like this in your inbox. I send those out only like once every other week, once every 2 weeks. I don't want to spam you guys. But anyway, that idea is there. If you have questions or you came to this video late, please leave your question in the comments. I will go back later tonight or tomorrow, whenever, and write a quick answer. Or if you're like, why do you do it this way or in this order? I just think it's the right progression for my kids and makes the most sense as far as learning. You could do it all in one day if you wanted, but that's just a lot to process. You could do it all in a couple days. You could do it with songs over an extended period of time. It's totally up to you. But I explain a lot of that in the blog, and if you have questions, like I said, just leave them here and I'll be happy to answer those. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night. Thanks for coming into my house tonight because I'm not at school, I'm at home. And because we did this video here, my desk is as clean as it's been in months. So anyway, thanks for coming along with the video. Like I said, if you have questions, you can leave them here. You can send me an email at makemomentsmatter@gmail.com. Thanks so much.